Have you ever wondered what it's like to own your own business? Be your own boss? Welcome to Season 7 of Business Mentorship, Keepin It Real, where we meet with corporate leaders who have taken the leap to business owner and join us as part of the shareyourstoriesonline series. Hello, I'm Trish Tonak, and today we're going to meet a small business owner, celebrate their great idea, and introduce you to the person behind the logo. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to the show. Our guest joins us from San Diego, California. Dr. Hassan Bencheqroun, or better known as Dr. B, is a native from Morocco with a culture of giving, hospitality, and love for people, where he completed his medical education before coming to the US. A near-fatal car accident before graduation deeply influenced his approach to patient care. As an assistant clinical professor at the University of California, he is able to apply his passion for teaching and innovating through AI in medical education. Dr. B is going to share his story on innovation and entrepreneurship, giving us a behind-the-scenes look into his life as a medical practitioner and educator. I'd like to welcome and introduce everyone to Hassan.
Hey, Trish, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Super, super excited.
Listen, I'm thrilled that you could join us because I took a look at your story this morning. I also did a quick peruse of your website, and I love how you talk about the intersection of technology and humanity. Maybe you can share with our viewing and listening audience how those two things intersect.
I find that technology right now is moving at a dizzying pace.
It sure is.
It was the electronic health records and the internet and Dr. Google and then suddenly we find ourselves into this AI business. And if I cannot imagine what patients, well, I can because they tell me what they're going through. So how do we move from everybody just brandishing their shining objects at you to how does it help me? And most of all, what should I look out for? And that's where I find myself, not necessarily as a founder or an innovator, but more of a translator, if you wish.
Sure, yeah.
How does it translate into your life, no matter who you are? You are grandma, you are a car, specialist, you are a human resources specialist, or you are a clinician. How does it help you? Is it just a solution looking for a problem, or does it really have a use case for you and you should get involved?
So now you created it's called Med AI Academy, clearly for the clinical side of the business. I mean, that's clearly not for someone like myself who, as you mentioned, goes online to Dr. Google the minute something hurts and goes, oh, what is this? And you start throwing in your symptoms. What you're doing is actually trying to raise the awareness and help the actual folks who are frontline with patients to use AI to their advantage, correct?
That is correct. And it actually started to include patients as well. In
Really?
fact, most people that reach out to me now are patients. I wrote a piece on LinkedIn, and it turns out that NPR picked it up, and I had an interview on NPR on how patients could use AI and still be safe, and how should physicians respond to patients, bring into them inputs from AI. We cannot repeat the same thing that we had last decade when they were bringing us Dr. Google stuff. And we would say, well, then I guess you don't need me.
Right.
Because, yeah, if that's how you answer, I try to focus on the space of trust. Patients brought to you the input from AI. Don't focus on the AI, focus on brought to you. And that means that they still hold us in a place of trust.
And I think that's a really good point. When you raise the word trust, that means a lot because we share a lot with with practitioners, right? I mean, we share things with our doctors and nurse practitioners that we would never share with our friends and family. I mean, usually you get the honest to God truth of what's happening, usually, right?
This is funny because it's even more true for my medical assistant. Even I, as a patient, I go to, the doctor and
Mm,
his medical or her medical assistant are taking my blood pressure, and you just strike a conversation. How's your
right,
day? And
right.
they, do you know how many of my patients tell the medical assistant, oh my God, I haven't smoked for a couple of days because I had this appointment. Don't tell him. There's things with the medical assistant that they may not share with you.
Oh,
So
that's wild.
it's it's funny how we long for connection, and it's even more so after COVID.
Yes.
How many communities have now grown, and those communities now share an interest. And a lot of that could be an interest of a health condition.
Hmm.
So we want to re recover that trust that, yes, you could have AI, but at the same time, I know your context. I
Right.
know you came from Colorado and you moved here because something happened in your life. I know that's something that happened in your life. AI doesn't. That
Correct.
context is major. And so if
Hmm.
we reestablish that, patients are longing for that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I love how you sort of put trust and connection together because they really do go hand in hand, right? I mean, it's the physical human connection that we're really looking for, and that's really what takes us to the next level of trust.
I couldn't have said it more. How many of us, even at the cash register, strike a conversation with the next person?
Yeah,
How many of us, I mean, in New York City, you would walk up to somebody and say, "You've been looking at that mat for 5 minutes. Where do you need to go?"
right,
Or you see somebody trying to get up on the bus and looking at all of the connections, and you're trying to help them.
right.
Someone who's on the side of the road trying to change a tire. I think that humans, especially after COVID, we now know that we cannot live without that connection.
Right.
And we cannot let people trying to maximize profit use that as a tool to make profit for technology. It's the opposite. We have to be savvy about technology to increase our connection.
Now, that's a really wonderful way of phraseology. I love that. So here I'm a patient. We'll use me as an example. And I've got, something happening. How do I, as a layman who knows nothing about anything medical other than my own symptoms, what would be the thing that you would recommend for me to do to go online to use AI or to use your Academy of AI in order to try to get myself some information? What's the purpose? Is it to appease my mind? Is it to, make me feel more comfortable? Is it to make me more knowledgeable? What's the purpose for someone like myself who may be a patient to go to AI?
When we talk about patients, there are two settings. So I'm going to give you a quick two settings. The first setting is a friend of mine who went to the ER because she was not feeling good and they admitted her. The next morning, the doctor, whom she's been waiting for hours, comes in, spits out a few things, and leaves. And she did not even have the time to, what questions do I ask him? What does that mean? Oh my gosh, he said this. And by the time that she digested it, he was gone. The
Right,
next day, she thought she was ready. And the nurse came and says, well, he's going to discharge you. What do you mean? I don't feel well still. And so having AI at that time to ask in order
right,
to be prepared, in order to perhaps look up what does that mean, having a low calcium? What
right,
does that mean? Why did they need to keep me in a hospital or discharge me when yesterday it seemed so big and
right,
today the number still is the same? Suddenly I'm feeling better.
right.
So those are questions that people want to translate in order to have an intelligent conversation with their caretakers, which are clinicians. As an outpatient, my other friend had a biopsy. And now you have access to your results on your portal, and you have your appointment 3 weeks from now.
Right.
Oh, what? I see stuff there that I don't know what it
I don't
means.
understand.
I
Right.
don't understand. And I can't wait 3 weeks. Are you kidding me? So the curiosity oversteps what the system now is. The capacity is not there to accommodate the urgency of patients.
Right.
And he didn't know. He knew that that was cancer. He didn't know if 3 weeks was still okay, or
Right.
3 weeks something would happen. And
Right.
so that's the reason why he used AI. So AI is part of our life, whether we like it or not. And the
Right.
best way to do it is two ways. One is to learn how to talk with it, and two, to learn how to argue with it. And those are two things that we're not trained to do yet. When we started with social media, we didn't know how to use social media. Now we know how to verify information, how to start going on a social media diet when it becomes too toxic, how to pick up on something. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to see the algorithm feeding me things. These were things we did not know 10 years ago. Now we
Right.
do. And so we
Right.
want to get ahead of the game of AI before it starts to cause damage.
I love the idea that it's based in a foundation of education. And it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're coming from, it's still an educational tool. And I think to your point, we have to be respectful of the information that's available in order to ensure that we have those intelligent conversations, right?
My father was an educator, so education comes to me naturally as the tool to connect with people. And as an educator, I stand between knowledge and understanding. There
Right.
is plenty of knowledge on the internet. There is plenty of knowledge that AI can spit at you. How can you turn it into understanding? That's where my career has been spent, is at the intersection of technology and humanity, because, well, technology changes constantly, but humanity doesn't.
Right.
So the challenge is making sure the first serves the second, and education is the bridge. And so this is where I feel like we need to live in this space where I need to connect with people in a way that gives them value. And you mentioned my accident, and the reason why this is so pivotal in my life is because I feel that I live on borrowed time. I was given a gift, and what is the best way to say thank you to a gift is to use that gift to further the value. And so for me, I want the purpose of my life to be that anyone who met me will leave me slightly better than they first met me. And that's where through education. And so this
Right.
is where I feel that we are at this stage. Yes, I can be a doctor, plenty of doctors around me. Yes, I can be a friend. Yes, I can be a teacher, but I can be all of these in a space where the need is most, which is where AI is touching our lives.
So, do you do courses or do you have online opportunities? Because clearly, we always equate learning with a classroom setting of some kind. And you mentioned technology. We have this awesome platform. I mean, here I am in Canada, and there you are. I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, and we're having this amazing conversation. So, I mean,
Indeed.
there's really wonderful things happening with technology. But how do you make the connection? How would somebody make the connection with the thought leadership that you're providing in order to create that understanding loop?
Amazing question. I wanted to start by creating, classes, as you said, or webinars. Turns out that people's attention span and where they are in life is just not anymore there.
Right.
So when I created one, even for clinicians, even if they find value in it, I wanted to make 2 or 3 minute videos. So it's just so I call it micro education. And I did it with a cartoon, so it doesn't feel like you're being taught by your teacher. And I took with me my chief morale officer, who is my dog, Enzo. He's pretty fun and funny. So it makes for a little bit of fun. And I'm creating more of these. That's what's on my website. But mostly before people met me in my clinic or my hospital, I found out that my patients, as they're waiting, they were listening to podcasts of other people that may or may not have my credentials in health. And so I created a podcast, and that's called the AI Ready Doctor podcast. It's been um, between 18 to 25 on the Apple podcast charts in medicine. And I don't mind saying number one in.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's funny because people are looking for this.
Yes.
So I create episodes, AI in somebody's life, AI in a caregiver's life, AI in a nurse's life, AI in a medical student life, AI is a nurse practitioner. And so each episode has a specific function or person that they can connect with. And
Right.
we've been having this now we just celebrated a year. And I'm trying to shift now the context into being out there in places. So we had one with a patient experience specialist, and I talked about my late father who was in the hospital and how I used AI to help me as a caretaker.
Right.
And she talked about her grandmother who went to her surgeon and how she used AI to help her create a list of questions, prepare to understand her imaging and so on before she had her appointment. So this is where I want my connection through technology, is through all of these new things that seem so, complex, but they are
Hmm.
just means of connection. If someone
Sure.
sends me a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram, I read it and I answer, as candidly and authentically as a human being first, and then clinician second.
Yeah. And what I really love is the fact that, your demographic is really limitless. I mean, where it's really based on the individual's interest level in learning something. So it's not, within your particular city or even your state or even your country. It's relevant information that helps frame the questions so that people can have more intelligent conversations with the people who are either going to be, as you say, their caregivers or their doctors. So it's really brilliant. And I really love the fact that you're using your dog. I'm an absolute dog lover. I know every dog in my neighborhood. I don't know the people. So, the
Same
fact
here.
that, right, the fact that you're
Yep.
making it accessible, you're making it, you don't have to have a PhD in order to understand what you're trying to share. It's accessible for everyone. The everyday individual who has curiosity and is interested in learning is actually your customer.
I was the other day with a friend in a car, and she heard me say something and looked it up on her phone real quick on Google and said, "Oh yeah, that's there. It says here." I said, "Can I teach you something?" Right upper corner, click on this, and it opened the sources of what she just read. And I
Right.
said, "Do you see those sources? What's the number one source?" And she goes, "Are you kidding me? It's Reddit." I said, "The number one source of AI is social media Reddit, 40%.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. Don't
Yes.
think it says to you that it is the truth." She's like, I've been using this for a year. I've never even thought about it. This is Google." I said, exactly.
Right.
It has now come to spaces that are familiar to you. So you
Yeah.
have to be on a diet. And telling someone just this one thing may change a lot in their life. And
No
that's all
kidding.
I need, that moment.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's a really brilliant thing to leave with our viewing and listening audience because it's not something that I even knew. Sometimes when you go on these AI platforms, they do have the sources available, which gives you a sense of comfort to understand and to, dig a little deeper to ensure that the information you're reading is really what you're looking for. So thank you for that. That's really valuable information. Now,
I appreciate it.
one of the things that we did in the guest blog is we always ask folks to share 3 words of advice. And I'd like for you to wrap up our conversation today with our viewing and listening audience by explaining, why is humanity, kindness, and hope so important for you in the work that you do and the life that you're living?
Humanity, kindness, and hope. Um, Humanity because for me, technology is at its best when it makes us more human, not less. The goal isn't AI or social media or any technology. The goal is amplified humanity. Kindness is because when I was a patient and I had a traumatic brain injury, I was in a coma and waking up and falling in a coma. And so everything that was about me that I thought defined me, which was, I don't know, my knowledge, my thoughts, my consciousness, my looks, whatever I thought at that time defined me, wasn't what people connected with. I was disfigured. I had brain edema. It just did. I wasn't me. But the
Right.
one thing that people kept telling me is you were kind. And people appreciated that, even when you were in a coma, in and out. And so I knew that kindness was attached to my soul,
Mm-hmm.
spirit, however you want
Yeah.
to say it,
Yeah.
my inner me rather than my body me, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Rather than the
so
physical, right?
kindness is just that center that I connect with people and people connect with me. And to be frank, hope, I chose it because it is the vanquisher of fear.
Mhm.
It just is. If you are afraid of a biopsy result, having hope bridges that. It doesn't give you unrealistic expectations. It just gives you the engine to move forward when fear pulls you back. When you are fearful of another human being, of how they would react or losing your job, having hope gets you moving. So while fear is inertia, hope is movement. And that's what we need in life.
I have to say, you and I could probably talk for hours and hours, but, to your point, we need to keep the dialogue that we have accessible to the people who listen. And I
Indeed.
really loved our connection between technology and humanity. And I wish you tremendous success in the work that you're doing and the connections that you're making. So thank you so much for joining me.
Likewise, and thank you for having me as a guest. I enjoyed this tremendously. Thank you for
Thank
what.
you. Thank you. So, Dr. B, I'd like to thank you for joining me today and giving us insight into how you bridge the gap in education, technology, and humanity. And to our viewing and listening audience, I'd like to thank you for tuning in for this edition of Keeping It Real. And I send my personal thanks to all of our sponsors and mentors for their ongoing support and ask that you share and invite your friends and colleagues to subscribe to our show, Business Mentorship Keeping It Real, found on YouTube and your favorite podcast channel. Dr. B and I would like to thank you for joining us, and we look forward to meeting you next time when we meet another business owner and celebrate their great idea.